Alright, welcome guys to another episode of Coaching with Valdemar. We've got a French mirror on the pit. Not a big fan of this map, but it is what it is. We're going to be facing up against a French mirror. How are you, Valdemar? Hope you're doing well today.
I'm very good. Right off the bat, we probably want to be making a double scout here, because we want to be denying as many resources as we can off our opponent here.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a long time. I always used to love having a double scout. The extra vision and the extra mobility and the extra sheep is always fantastic, and I'll certainly be doing the same.
Yeah, so send those two scouts each lane, and then just forward them to those sheep that are in the corners and in the sides. So we start off by running towards your opponent with that second scout there, and your first one as well. And then once you find out whether or not he went for a second scout, we'll be able to determine where to go. So that first scout there, well, you do the scouting. I'll leave you to it.
We'll see. Let's go on the gold now.
So we want to be draining our opponent's fuel. And
Yeah,
the fuel
for
are
sure.
the sheep, indeed. And once you force your opponent outside of the base, that's when you can start to really pick off some villages, especially if you're both trying to harass. Being able to stay longer in base is a good idea.
We need to get some sheep back home though, that's for sure.
Yes.
That went wrong way around then. It is where it is.
Watch out for the TC placement. It's always in such a manner that you can't actually enter the mid in one side without taking some hits. But
Should be able to make it.
if you're lucky, you are lucky indeed.
Beautiful number of sheep here. Very nice. Alright, we're gonna get school cavalry up soon, hopefully.
Probably be another 30 seconds actually. Scout does add a lot of extra time.
Yeah.
It's important we get those 5 vills afterwards to because if he does decide to play the aggressive, we can counter that easily with spears. I think you got a lot of sheep here, didn't you?
Oh,
What about your second scout?
Yeah, that's very nice.
Very good. I think he only played one
Yeah, he must have.
scout.
Ascolte. Capere. Tuts.
Okay, let's keep this first scout just in that corner. Oh, well, I'm going to put him there and then just go to the to his base to see what he's up to. Let's drop this off and go back.
Once you're done scouting for sheep, you can put one scout on each side of the base and always tell whether or not he's going to go outside for resources.
Yeah.
Alright, I think you might have gotten most of the sheep on this map.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
So you'll force him out in the berries and the deer, if he's smart, very early. See, there's a lot of food in the bottom, so that's a focus point.
Oh yes, this is beautiful. Boar, deer, and berries. Everything.
Yeah, 10 deers, 1 boar, berries, and also the big gold and a small stone. 1 tower can deny all that, if you have some units around it. Also pretty good age up timing here, I would say. Well done. Cancel a few vills and then get those knights out. Did you put your wood line all the way in the back?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Would you have gone for the closer one? 'Cause the
I'm
walking
not sure.
distance-
I'm not sure. I probably would have put it more to the right and then walled off.
Okay, yeah.
So still go for the back wood, but then wall off that side. But in the end, Probably want to go spearman, anyways. So he's got a knight coming to you now through the mid. So you can just go topside around him and get to his gold. If you can eliminate his gold income, then you can eliminate the knight's spam.
Was that my first night? Oh damn, that was the second night. That's annoying. Look on top side. Right. That's misplayed a little bit.
Tuts, on va mostrare tuts. Capere. Eccilcito. Tuts odite. Seco materia. Escolte bene.
Got the first hit now.
Get that spearman now. So if you force him to go archers, you can then start to only go for knights and spearmen.
He's going for archer range, yeah.
Oh, I don't think that was an archer range. Wasn't that a barracks?
Oh, he's
there.
got barracks
Alright.
and archer range. He's going for one of each.
Means he'll need a lot of wood. So the plan is we just want to be targeting guilds as much as possible. You have another scout there that you can use to scout his wood line. We don't know if he's on the wood line.
I'll track that spearman.
Definitely is on that wood line. Very nice. We'll just keep going. Probably don't need a tower if you choose a spearman defensively. Add an archer range instead. That's not a good move from him. He's gonna lose that knight. That fight is fine. I don't think he has a lot of spearmen though. 2 maybe? Very nice, very nice. Watch out, you don't lose your scout. I think you did that.
Yeah, so we said it. Oh, God.
So pull that damage knight in the bottom all the way back to your base and see if you can get heals out soon. Got 2 very damaged knights, so just pull them back. Yeah. You can if you have the microphone. Oh, that was not good. You've got some idle gold bills as well.
Escolte bene.
Right, you might either be equal or you've killed a little bit more workers. So I think you got 3 there, maybe 4. I don't remember how many you had. Watch out you don't lose that knight to the TC. It might be worth it now to start making archers. We've talked about it a little bit before with those food sources, what gathering rates are fastest and so on. So, well, you'll probably tell why I'm telling you.
Yep, not on. We want to go on deer. Go on that.
Probably yes, and then include like 2 spearmen. How about that?
Like
Health upgrade for your knights. Have you gotten it?
Not yet.
Cancel wheelbarrow and get chivalry. There you go.
Tuts audite. Sito.
Ecci li mandemon.
Ordi quitamus. Equite. Paratu. Cavallo. Ordine tenet.
You can probably take that pretty easily. Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Si, comprendo. Sauve equites. Para equite.
Pariez et prépariez l'orchestre.
Vavaramus equites. Passage.
Pull out.
In avant. Move equites. Es facile, cavalier. Quid orden. Equites.
And if you have more knights, send them from the top.
Audi. Pace move. Equite. Commemores.
Non comprendo.
En linea equites. Attention. Es facile, cavalier. Orchestre.
Not that guy, he's weak.
Parate equites. Equites supparatus. Quelle.
You thought about making archers?
Where are they? That's the question. Oh, got a bad rally point there.
It's not like he has a lot of defensive forces. It seems as though he has stopped making knights and gone purely for spears and archers. So what we want to check out is whether or not he's gone on the stone and gone for second TC and decided to play it more defensively.
Yeah. Right, let's get the scout around the other side. His stone, that's a big stone he's got there, and there's 2 stones on the left basically, so we'll send the scout
Include a
there.
knight as well. Include a knight as well, and then if you want to go for it, well, you have all the food in the bottom. You want to secure that / deny it.
Attention. En pueste de batalla. En
Good job.
Equite timonier. Mauvais.
Barats pour la bourrade.
Audite milites. Dolme bien.
Si. Comme.
Ordine pace. Mauvais. Attention. Novo audite milites. Quid orden. Second mandement.
Right, sending your knights and the archers. And then focus fire the spearmen. Nah, probably don't take that fight.
Second mandement. Attention.
Tuts audite.
Ordine.
Escolte bene.
Orchestre.
Ci sono bien fait.
Attention. Equite.
Right, check that.
Audite milites.
Very good.
No, he's not already on stone.
Ooh, opportunistic here.
Omeio. Cavallo.
Go Lucius scout.
Quid orden.
Caval para.
Pace. Mauvais.
He's using his villagers to fight. Just take them out
Equite timonier.
whenever he does that.
Audite. Conde squad.
Dolmen ici, comprendo. Dolmen est facile, cavalier. Attention, pace mauvais.
He's brought his army that way, that's good for us if he's left this open.
Yeah, time to go, time to go. Get into the wood line in the back.
Second mandement.
It's the most open spot for you to raid without getting any damage yourself.
Aud pace.
And then keep circling around that top side. You want to know whether or not he's...
Passage in avant.
Ooh, nice. Just a move here. Out again.
Second mandement.
Very good micro there. Good job. Get that damage knight all the way back to your base again.
Tous élégants. Equites, quitte. Esper civilier. En linea et orchestre.
Oh, can I block him? Ah, done.
Watch out with the micro.
Ordine. Parate equite. Attend equites in
Momente ambula.
parate.
Well, you got his army all up there, so a few archers will do a lot of damage.
Ambula. Momente spade arche. Deus
Nice job. We're gonna try to end this in feudal. We've got such a nice advantage here. So keep on making those units. You have one of each production building, don't you?
Yeah.
So you want to have a split that sounds like 25 on food, 12 on wood, and 6 on gold. So so you can keep up
bit more wood.
villager production and all your production buildings, and mass as many units as you can.
Audite. Barats pour la bourrade.
A bit more on food, actually. I'll just rally to wood there.
And take 4 off of gold and put in food instead.
Barats pour la bourrade. Touré de labour.
Audite.
Barats. Barates, servientes. Allons-y. In avant, arquière.
Oh, damn, the archers. I thought I selected the spears there.
Yep. Promesse.
It's important you don't take fights.
Baraté, arquière.
You've got a nice big army there. Probably kill him.
In ayuda.
So keep up unit production. Gather all your units together if you want to do it like that, or just keep raiding. But to be fair, if he goes under your TC, you're probably going to win it.
Ascolte bene.
And then wall off that right side. If you don't want your wood line to be graded. Not there, in your base.
Oh, right. That's in...
No. Right side, you got a wood line there, a small patch.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
No top. Between your big wood line and your small wood line there.
That one.
That's the very, very...
That's where it's gone.
yeah, but you can take that. Just A move, kill it. Watch out, you don't lose too many villas. Yeah, it's good he took his spears there. Means you can just engage everything else. And even with the spears there, just engage. A move, get everything down. Archers will do the job. And your knights are pretty tough. Nice job. Very
Holy
good
moly.
job, man. That was a microfest.
Good game. Well
Yeah.
You
played.
did very, very well.
That's kind of... I really do enjoy the micro game, but there were some bits where I was really disappointed, like down here when I was trying to select the damn spears just to get the like a couple of hits on the knights, but I just kept on having the archers, and they just wasn't running back because of that. Kept on selecting them by
Definitely.
accident, but it was really good fun actually, pulling them from each side, and I think generally getting that fast. I think we got to the feudal age quicker than him, which is a bit surprising since we went for 2 scouts as well. But
But your 2 scout was what won you the game as well.
Yeah.
Not necessarily won you the game, but it gave you a very, very nice advantage.
yeah, I like how you mentioned it during the game as well. How because he had less sheep, it meant that he had to go for the pocket economies earlier, like the deer patch here, and it meant he was a lot more exposed. And I think that's a really key bit of information for our kind of my level of gameplay, for the players of my level as well. Just understanding that concept that if you don't have sheep underneath your TC, that naturally makes your opponent have to go to the outer extremities where resources are a little bit more, very much more exposed, and you can really look to exploit that. And I like how we, you kind of nudged me to think about where his food sources were, and unlucky for him, like he's got a boar, deer, sheep, deer, berries, boar here, all on the right side, and so that was really the focus of attack there, I think.
Definitely. It's very important that you think about that as French, because you yourself, in a mirror match especially, have to think about where you're getting your food from, where is your enemy getting his food from. Because French is probably one of the last civs to make farms. It's
Yeah.
one of the last civs to pop a second town center, because they want to go for that feudal all-in. And if it's an open map, like this relatively open map here, then you can get a lot of damage in. So if he decides to go for second CC, it means he spends his resources on eco. You spend it on army, you can deny the second CC, plus you won't have as much resistance. And all the idle time, pardon me, all that idle time did so much for him to not gather resources from military and all that, and circling around his base constantly, which is enabled by the faraway wood line in the bottom of his base, like in the back. You can get a lot of damage in.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you don't kill a lot of villagers, just making them run around and not gathering, not working, is also like killing them, because, well, they're not working.
Yeah, certainly. I think that was something I kind of cottoned on at the later stages of the game. When we pulled him one side, just with one scout and knight, and we managed to get him to overreact, and he
Yes.
sent his whole army there, and then that left his wood line completely free. I think there was one point when you said it was pretty much. I recognized that it was time to go, like in the southern border, but it didn't like. It should really come natural, and I think now it will come natural for me in the future. Just think that wood line on the pit is super exposed. That is something that he could
Yes.
take quite nicely.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
speaking of which, as well, there was another point that you mentioned about possible location of the initial wood line on the pit. And I've had a
Hmm.
bit of time to think about it now. Obviously, the game's over.
Yep.
I guess you were probably. I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you let me know. But I'm thinking you probably meant to put maybe the wood line, the lumber camp here, so that I could
Hmm.
have that nice wall, right? I could try and wall it off.
Definitely. He will still be able to run in with his knights, but he will be discouraged to do so.
Mhm.
And he will have to run out again, but you'll probably be able to get a lot more arrows into his face with your TC. It depends on what you're facing. So if you're facing longbows, you definitely don't want to be sticking a wood line close to a palisade wall because he can just stand beyond it. But if you're facing knights, it can be a good idea to increase the time he has to run to your villas.
Yeah, and I guess with the minimal investment, as you mentioned, and I managed to cotton on in the end painstakingly about walling that right side.
Mm.
A bit of wood investment there, and then maybe walling from the backward line towards that town center, just enough so it forces the knights into that town center fire.
You could do that.
That'd be quite
Yes.
nice to try and enclose that wood line, I suppose, in a
Well, you
way.
can experiment with different stuff, and generally speaking, a wood line can really save you in a lot of situations. And that's also what I wanted to talk about, actually.
Mhm.
What do you go for defensive wise? Sorry.
That's right. Well, I mean, in this
Yep.
matchup, it should have been spears, right? But I didn't think of that, so it's kind of there
Yeah.
was a part here when I was caught out, and I didn't have the spears in the right spot, and that was actually brutal. I think that moment there, when I looked
Hmm.
back and I lost a lot of villagers, if I just had the spears in the right place, then that
Yeah,
would have been a whole different ball game.
definitely. So rally point on the most exposed villagers.
Yeah, so that was a bit sloppy, but I think that's something I'm going to try and make sure I work on. Just thinking, trying to be safe at home whilst doing damage forwards.
Hmm. And the reason we also go for barracks is because we probably want to go for it anyways when we're facing a French mirror. There's
Mm.
going to be a lot of knights in the battles ahead. So having those spears are going to be crucial.
Yeah, and it leads to that very nice micro that you can have against your opponent.
Definitely. And
Very,
I will
very
say
fun.
one more thing.
Mhm.
It's important that you try to take charge of the game, that you are the one, the aggressor, the one that assumes control immediately. We do that by getting two scouts because we force our enemy out of the base, and so he can't just stay wherever he wants to. But that we are also on the aggressive, so we don't build spears. I think a lot of people will think in a mirror match, oh, I'm just gonna play defensively. That's not quite how it works because knights are still stronger than spears 1-to-1, and he will have knights out very quickly, whereas you have to both age up and then build a production building. He will have them immediately, and at that point he'll already be taking control. So it's important that you go for those knights immediately
Yeah, so
and
and
add the racks later.
I think, as you say, just dictating the tempo of the game. I personally feel a game is so much more comfortable for me. I feel more comfortable attacking than defending, that's for sure.
Yes.
Like it's just within the general feel of the game. I'm not having to pull villagers left, right, and center. My economy is a little bit more manageable. I kind of have a feel of what resources I'm getting, and it's just not having to be complete mayhem back at home. So certainly being the aggressor.
Hmm.
But I found the point that you made there very interesting about having that second scout, and that's often a question that we get at my level of player. Like,
Oh yeah.
do we go for a second scout or not? And I think you unlayered, actually, unveiled, as it were, another layer to the discussion about a reason to go for second scout. Obviously, there's the scouting information, there's the sheep gathering, but in particular in this matchup, as you said, the fact that you get
Mm.
more sheep off your opponent meant that he had to go on those wider extremities of the deer and the berries.
Hmm. Yeah, well, you get a scout. You have your starting scout, and you're taking vills. And even if you're playing a barrier civ like Delhi, like Abbasid, whereas you will probably not need sheep for the majority of the early game, where you'll be on berries and or deer with your second TC. Well, it's important that if you're facing another berry civ, to think, okay, maybe I don't need a second scout here because none of us really need sheep, so it doesn't really matter. But if you are playing against somebody else in a mirror match, such as HRE mirror matches, a second scout will be quite crucial because it'll give you an advantage. And then you'll need to get a second scout, obviously, against the Roost player because you want to be denying hunts. But generally speaking, one scout is fine. Mirror matches, think about it. Do you need it for the map? If it's really hard to get around on the map, like on the pit, good idea to get two scouts. It'll give you an immediate advantage that is not predicated on where you went with your first scout.
Yeah.
So your scouting routes usually sound like when you go two scouts, you'll be going the first scout will be going very aggressive, and the second scout will circle around your base for those starting sheep.
All right, super, super interesting. Well, that was a fantastic discussion. I certainly learned a lot from that game, I have to say. But yeah, was any last remarks for that game, Valdemar, you wanted to mention?
I just want to say you did very well with the micro, and obviously there's always things to work on all levels, in all rankings. There we have stuff to work on when it comes to micro, and I think you did really well here. Certainly for your level.
Thank you. Okay, well, guys on YouTube, make sure that if you haven't already, do visit Valdemar's stream. You can watch him play. You can see how good he is. He's fantastic. It's actually a joy to watch him play as well at times. So really get behind him as well. And don't forget that if you are interested in coaching with Valdemar, just like I have had today, do make sure you reach out to him. And otherwise, I hope you guys are enjoying the content and the series that we've got going. I feel it's been really enjoyable to do, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Let me know in the comment section if you are. And with that, Valdemar, thank you for hopping in, and take care, guys. I shall see you next time.